Step out of your mind. Up. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your up, 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 step up, step up, step up, step up. Up, 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 out of your mind. Step, step up, step up, step up, up, step out of your mind. Step out of your mind. Up. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your up, 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 step up, step up, step up, step up. Up, 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 out of your mind. Step, step up, step up, step up, up, step out of your mind. Step out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your, out, step out, step out, step out, out of your mind. Step up, step up, step out of your mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, elephants and squirrels, this is DJ Raviesta here on Rhinos Inc. Gaming. And tonight, we're going to be having a nice little conversation about Pokemans, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Or Pokemon is like some people how to call it. I don't know if that's actually how you say it, but yeah, Pokemon, I guess. But for this one, it's not going to be just me talking about stuff. Because I brought in some awesome people to talk about the Pokemon Presents that happened on Thursday. And for this one, we've got some fan favorites, some folks from last year. We've got Emily.
Hi.
We've also got Tommy.
Hey.
And we got Sean.
How's it going?
And tonight we're all going to just talk about Pokemon, the Pokemon Presents, our opinions on it, where we think Pokemon's going to be going from this point forward, you know, based on what we saw. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And also feel free to let your opinions be known in the chat so that we can just, you know, have some fun chatting about stuff, you know. But I'm going to really just kind of hand this off to these three over here so they can really dive deep into it. So off to you guys.
All right. Well, we're back for another year. Glad to be invited. Thank you, Raven, for inviting us all to be on.
Thank you.
And first up, overall opinions, you know, thumbs up, middle, or down for, like, a sliding scale of what you thought of the presents.
In between?
You know,
In between,
like
mid and up?
Yeah. All right.
I think more needs to be
We'll go into
shown.
detail when we hit later on in it.
Definitely. I think first I would like to talk about what we didn't get. I know we have obviously the list of what we did get, but I think it's very important, you know, because no one is perfect, no company, no institution, no studio. And it's important to acknowledge mistakes. And yet again, Pokemon Company has not acknowledged the mistake of Stunfisk. It has yet to apologize for the creation of Stunfisk. I do not know why they keep this up. But yet again, so aside from that, I liked it. But
There were a lot of people hoping for a mystery dungeon. So many people.
yeah, I do know.
On serious notes, we can start with what we did not see there. And from what I know through Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, is that the developers that did the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, they had released a game, I think last year on the Switch. It was a Mystery Dungeon game, but not Pokemon, because that's a recurring franchise over in Japan. They released a Mystery Dungeon game last year with kind of a, hey, if y'all want more Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, you should check out this game. Maybe that can influence Game Freak to want a Pokemon Company to approach us to make another. But even if that happened, you wouldn't want a one-year development cycle on a game, because we saw what happened with the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know Raven also mentioned it in our group chat prior of he was hoping for a mystery dungeon. I knew in the back of
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah, I was hoping for something new, something fresh. Because like
Yeah.
I did appreciate when they gave us, the remakes and everything. I was like, yeah, that's cool, but can we just have a new iteration of, the Mystery Dungeon series? Something in the vein of, I don't know. I had a weird idea, and I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on it. And that is, if they were to make a new Mystery Dungeon, what if they made it like 3D, like a 3D Mystery Dungeon instead of like the usual 2D? Well, the most recent one was like 2.5D. But what do you guys think about that? I'm curious.
I haven't seen this company's works outside of Mystery Dungeon and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon to know if they would approach it in that way or not. When you mentioned that, the first thing that comes to mind is the Dark Cloud franchise that was on the PS2, the two games there, when that was a little bit Mystery Dungeon-y. I don't know. I don't know if this company would do that kind of thing or not. You don't want to put people out of their own pedigree of what they are good at when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, I
Valid
totally hear
point.
you on that. It would definitely be very far removed from what people are used to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big Pokemon Dungeon expert. I think I played a demo for the remake once, so I don't really know. But from what I've played, it seems fairly grid-based in movement and attacks. I do
It
wonder
is.
how a fully 3D game would work with that grid. Like, I feel like if you either change enough to make the 3D mean something, it's almost, at least to my imagination, difficult to keep the grid system in place. Whereas if you keep the grid system in place, is it really a 3D game in any meaningful way, as opposed to like the 2.5D games we've gotten before?
When you add in the number crunchiness of Pokemon in general for a grid-based game, it works for it. They would need to the whole thing would be recalibrated to that, and could they still use the Mystery Dungeon moniker for it?
There's a lot.
That's a bit further than the purview, I would say, of what we've talked about here. But
Yeah.
And the other things would be any real core remakes of past games. Everyone still hopes for a Unova remake or whatever.
Poor 5th gen.
Though some say that our Unova stuff was the second DLC for Scarlet Violet. Like, just, hey,
That's
here's some
not
Unova
enough.
stuff, but it wasn't Unova itself.
I need black and white music again in
I got
games. Go
So,
ahead.
I gotta be honest, after Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I'm not sitting here hoping for Gen 5 remakes from Pokemon Company. I'm sorry. Like, remakes for Pokemon are kind of frustrating to me because I feel like Gen 1, locking you to the original Gen 1 Pokemon where you couldn't get a Golbat or a Steelix or any other Pokemon that had cross-gen evolutions until after you beat the story, like, that was frustrating to me. So I liked how in Gen 2 they moved away from that and they actually were like, no, this is a new game, it has new features, it has new things from the future. We should incorporate those where we can to improve this gameplay experience. Gen 2 and Gen 3 did that so well.
Yeah.
And for me, Gen 4, they really fumbled the bag, especially because, I'm sorry, Diamond and Pearl pale in comparison to Platinum. There's so many quality of life things that Platinum improved on in the
Yeah.
Pokédex as well, that seeing them honestly just consciously decide to remake the worst versions of that game
Well,
too faithfully, I would be leery of what they would do with Gen 5.
Or if they would handle it in-house, or if they would, again, hand it off to Ilka. Ilka themselves are capable of developing good RPGs. Just in that same year, we did have like the One Piece Odyssey, which was pretty well acclaimed, that they can do bigger. It's just if they were given a shoestring budget or too short of a time. But I think they would probably be looking at that drawing board of can they do a good remake, remake or not. Whereas I think Gen 5 would be okay because there was a lot. It may have been, initially Black and White may have been panned by a lot of fan base because I was like, where's my Pikachu? But nowadays, Gen 5, especially Black 2, White 2, are really fondly remembered that it's like if we could only have a way to play them legitimately again.
Yeah.
No one's saying anything yet.
Just checking.
Just a lot. Seeing Pokemon Pinball, could see that. I don't know what studio did Pokemon Pinball, around because I don't know how much Game Freak did the development versus not. Depends on commercial success of these games too. The money is what makes more money, kind of thing, and we're probably seeing more of that in the focus of mobile games, which we have a new mobile kind of game to talk about.
Yeah.
Unless there's any other things that you were hoping would be in there, we can get on to discussing what was actually there.
The other thing I would think of is really to mention maybe just like we did not get Gen 10 yet. There's reasons for that. I think we can all agree that probably for the best, I feel, to not have it yet.
Because the 30th anniversary is next year.
Gen 10, we can tack that on towards the end because that would be more the future of Pokemon versus like what we had expectations coming in that weren't met.
That's fair, I get you.
For all that.
All right.
We're just going to be following the order that they presented it to us, and we might touch upon things later and come back around if it ties into what we talk about towards the front. We opened with Pokemon Concierge, which is on Netflix, getting season 2 hitting in September of this year, which if you watched it, it's a really cute show. It's all stop motion and it was pretty well acclaimed. Like, you want a laid-back show, it can be pretty relatable, especially to like our age group where we're in our 30s, we're working these crazy jobs that we are and such, and just to have like a almost vacation on our screen, seeing the Pokemon we grew up with kind of animated, done really well in a stop-motion format.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah, they included some test footage of new Pokemon that weren't in like season 1, like Arcanine and such.
Arcanine looks so good.
It looks good. It was a cute show.
Yep. All that test footage was really nice to see. And I agree. I think Pokemon Concierge is like, it's the Animal Crossing of like shows. It's very wholesome. It's very cozy. Everyone is here to have a nice time, and it's very sweet. And like seeing that behind the scenes footage of how they actually like move the stop motion rigs for the motion testing footage was really interesting. I liked seeing that.
It's always fun to get a little peek behind the curtain.
Yep.
And if you haven't already and do not have Netflix, you can watch episodes 1 through 4 on YouTube for a limited time. I think it's probably about another week from the point that we're recording the podcast, this video here. I'm doing this line stream, I should say.
Whatever this is.
Also to tack on for you, for what's on Netflix, if the Pokemon Journeys continues to air on there, they release some batches, so I think Netflix is doing really well for getting all the Pokemon media alongside. I think there's a new home for everything past Pokemon, so all of Ash's Journey.
Yep.
I think they're working on cleaning that up to where it's one stop to hit it all versus you got to be on 4 or 5 different streaming services to get the whole journey.
Yeah, so kudos to that.
So we got that.
What was the next thing?
Next thing up was Pokemon Go for the Unova global event.
Which was today.
Yeah, it started today.
Which I've completely forgot.
And then, out of all of us, she is the one who plays it the most.
I still was able to play for several hours. It was a lot of fun. Lots of raids. Not as much shinies normally. And I didn't catch a single one from out in the wild. It was just from raids or like research tasks, which I normally find a bunch of shinies during these fests. So this was kind of weird. But overall, lots of fun.
be interesting to see if there's discussion, if it's just the one-off experience for you, if it's
Yeah,
across
exactly.
the board
I'm
of, like,
curious.
the shiny rates being adjusted. Because
Yeah.
I know during these events, some Pokemon may appear shiny, but others are shiny at a much higher rate.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yep,
But-
unfortunately, I don't have much to say on Pokemon Go. My annual experience with that game is I reinstalled it on my phone, I opened it up, my character is in a black void, and the app crashes.
I'm
And
so
that's
sorry.
been multiple phones now, so that's just where my character lives, in the void.
But I did want to mention, you know, I played in my local park, and there were tons of people. Like, this game is still very well alive.
I when I was in a office the other day, in a waiting room, I saw a lady playing on her phone while
Yep.
waiting. So an older lady too. So it
That's awesome.
maintains its cross-generational appeal, whether or not they played the games or whatnot. The game accomplished its purpose,
Yep.
Yeah.
and it remains so.
Yep.
Two big things I noted out of it were Victini upon the purchase of the
Yep.
Unova
As soon
Global
as
Pack.
you purchase it, literally, like, boop. It's almost like a free Victini after it, but
Yeah,
Yep.
but what, $15?
yeah. But it comes with a. I didn't.
And
I
then-
bought it just because, and then I'm like, okay. After playing the fest with this, I'm like, okay, this was sort of worth it.
Okay.
Except I will mention I can't remember the name of the object, but a lot of people bought it for $15 because if you get a certain amount of points, you get a thing where it makes you instantly lucky with another player. But a lot of us did not know that once you get it, you only have 8 days to use it. Only
Oh.
eight within 8
Oh,
days.
use
and
the
if
object within
yes,
8 days?
and if you
Okay.
don't, you can't use it. So a lot of us, when we found out as we were playing, were really ticked off. So we're like,
Okay.
because nowhere was this mentioned, at least to us. We're like, wait,
Gotcha.
huh? So now you got to quickly figure out who to do that trade instead of hanging on to it. So
Right.
I feel like for paying for $15, you shouldn't have a time limit on that.
Is this another timed research task?
This was not. It was just like
I
certain
mean, for-
points you have to get to it.
points within this time frame of the event? Okay.
I think it was. I don't know for certain, but the object itself, once you got it, it's telling me you only have 8 days to
Okay.
until it's
Got
gonna
it.
go away.
All right. And then
Once
the-
you actually have the object, that's
Yeah.
different. So it's
But
it's
at
odd.
least it's Victini right there for $15.
Yeah.
It's a shame that it's another Pokemon that limited availability Pokemon that you have to pay extra money for.
Yep.
But
Cheaper than you.
it remains, to me, I think it's one of the more recent giveaways of Victini. I don't think we've had one in a while.
There was a previous one because this was not a new dex entry. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Nothing yet. Just
I'm sorry, I'm just checking as well while Sean's
He's-
talking.
yeah, these are all comments.
He's got the
It's,
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't read it from here.
Yeah.
I see lines.
I'll relay if there's any questions asked.
Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
want to you
Yeah.
were talking.
Yep. And then the other half of it was the shiny Meloetta,
I did not do that.
which is interesting because just a couple weeks ago we had the Dex completion bonus of getting a shiny Meloetta.
Mm-hmm.
Was that for Scarlet Violet with the DLC?
I can't remember which one. I think it was. Don't quote me
Yeah,
on that.
'cause I
I
think
did.
the,
I think it was because I remember getting it.
Yeah,
And then
'cause-
the Arceus Dex was Enamorous.
Yes, the shiny
And then
Enamorous.
Manaphy is Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
Yeah.
And then Meltan's Pokemon Go. But
Let's
I can't.
go.
Let's go. Sorry, but you can't evolve it, which is a lot of people were ticked about too.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, go on.
Yep. And then we had the other one being the shiny what's the musketeer Pokemon, the horse.
What? Keldeo.
Keldeo?
Oh,
shiny
yeah,
Keldeo
that-
for completing the
Sword and Shield,
Sword and Shield
which I'm
deck.
working on now in order to get
Yeah.
that horse.
So
You don't have it already.
it seems to be a stance.
I just have to get it all together.
They aren't as restrictive of like some of these mythicals where, oh yeah, the last giveaway was like a decade ago. Good luck. Get it illegitimately or pay out the butt for someone who got 20 of them.
Yeah.
Did you not go to the Toys R Us in New York City in 1997? Oh,
Yeah.
then you just don't have a Mew.
Right.
I still have the Mew from Toys R Us from
Amazing.
way back in the day. I still have one still in the GameCube. Still there, yeah. I had to show the guy how to use the link cables.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So next up was Pokemon Masters EX,
I
where
I don't play.
I'm not. I played it in spots. It's another gotcha, team game. I don't know the meta or anything like that to know if these meta-wise are cool, are good. But the big ones that they showed off were the Primal Kyogre and Groudon with alternate costumes for the
Costumes. That's all I want to
the
say.
yeah for the for the main trainers of Ruby and Sapphire.
Seeing Brendan without a hat is gross.
Yeah,
I need that hat that I think he has white hair for like a decade.
Everyone did.
Without that,
I don't
Yeah.
care. He has white hair.
and just alternate costumes. I don't know if they're good or not, so I can't speak to that. Otherwise, gotcha, give them money for more polls, unless you've been saving up your free resources for them.
Don't die.
I played through. I got when Ball Guy came out. I got Ball Guy, the most overpowered character in all of Pokemon. So
I'm confused.
when I last played, I was playing and Ball Guy was just being added. I forget what partner Pokemon he had.
Okay,
But
interesting.
yeah, Ball Guy from Sword and Shield.
and he's just
That
really
was
funny.
literally his name is Bald Guy.
Ball Guy.
Ball guy. The
Ball guy.
Pokeball Guy.
Pokeball.
How
Ball
can I
guy.
forget about
Ball Guy,
Bald
the
Guy?
mascot, yes.
I thought you said Bald Guy, and I'm
No.
like,
No.
plain?
I mean, we call them cue balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ball Guy's the ultimate Pokemon trainer. Did you guys not
Exactly.
know
I
that?
miss
Come
Bald. Can we?
on.
He needs to come back in more.
He is the original
Yeah.
Pokemon master.
Ball guy's the only character who can be the unbeatable champion Leon's Charizard's trainer.
See, Pat,
Ball Guy.
Patlock saying alternate timeline is my excuse. Brenda does have white hair, as far as I'm concerned. Yes.
yes,
True.
true.
All right.
Respect.
Otherwise, in that promo image, they also showed Mega Rayquaza. I don't know if Mega Rayquaza's already been in, and we're getting the Primal Kyogre Groudon. Either way, it's more characters, more Pokemon for the game. I'm not in enough to vouch for if they are going to be meta-defining or not, or how the gameplay is of that. Unfortunately, but if you're in it, you're in it.
Good for you.
Next up was Pokemon Cafe Remix, which, from my understanding, hasn't received new progression content, and they were done with that. Everything that they're adding now is just Pokemon with costumes. So
I've never played it. Have you guys ever played it?
I have not.
Nope.
No.
Looks really cute. I will say I did kind of get distracted because like some of the sound effects that they used in that trailer, like they remind me of Looney Tunes sound effects.
Oh.
Like there's this part where like there's like a boing sound, and it, like I've seen that boing sound when like Jerry's running from Tom.
That's interesting. I gotta go and rewatch that and listen.
And then they announced, the couple new Pokemon being the Appleton and Flapple, and it's one or the other that I caught in that. I don't know the gameplay for like if it's you do the event you get one, and then if you give us $20 we give you the other or whatever. Can't speak to it. Don't know. I don't want to throw anything out there without any expertise myself.
But
It's there for the people that like it. Obviously, enough people play it that they're continuing to update it because we have a graveyard of free-to-play Pokemon games.
do love the art in that one though. Again, it
It's
is
very-
really, really,
Really
pretty.
cute.
Love the art. Love the little costumes. I see it. I don't play it, but I look at it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, pretty.
Yep.
Okay.
Next up was Pokemon Sleep, where they have a Cresselia versus Darkrai event
This will
coming
be
this year.
Interesting.
So
I haven't played it in almost a year because since our recording last year, I had a kid, and it becomes a little bit hard to do the main part of the second half of Pokemon Sleep when you have a kid.
You
so,
can cheat.
but I will, it's just like I'm okay, I'm good. I played my fill. I might have given them a little bit of money. I don't remember, but
I've never given them money, and I still
Yeah.
play.
yeah. It seemed pretty free to play friendly, and I'm not, meta game of like, oh, I need to roll this Pokemon with this ability and this nature or whatever, because
Yeah.
if each Pokemon has, it's not even like, the abilities are, they have abilities themselves, but they also have like bonuses that roll with them, and you want to, basically roll new Pokemon every day to hopefully get the better of them.
I know there's like a website or something that you can go to plug that all in. I've been wanting to do it, but I'm not that motivated
okay,
to do
I've
it.
been sitting on the joke line of the idea of a hardcore Pokemon Sleep player is it's disgusting to me. You're just telling me that hardcore Pokemon Sleep players exist.
They do.
You're disgusting to me.
To me,
It's
if
sleep.
you have the
How
money,
do you grind for
it's
sleep?
when you pay for extra things, and then
Yeah.
that's basically it.
Yeah, you can
And if
get-
you have, dude, if I won the lotto, I'd be putting money in that game. Not gonna lie, but I can't. So.
Yeah.
You go to
And what's
bed.
great is that I don't feel that inhibited.
No.
What's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm playing the game
held back by
happily.
not
Yeah,
playing.
Yeah.
And
Very free to play, casual friendly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
We do have a comment from Patchlock. First off, saying I thought the Totodile was part of Emily's dress. I need that plush. Heart face emoji. That was my first starter. Respect. On the note of
Yeah.
Totodile starter, you stick around. We'll be talking about
Yeah,
something
we're gonna
about
definitely
that.
talk about that.
Started
That's
you.
why he's here.
And
But yeah,
then
thank you for the
the
love.
congratulations to me for my child. Yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
Her favorite Pokemon right now is Gengar.
Speaking of which, in my Pokemon sleep, my Gengar, her name is Anya. And she is the most powerful mon in Pokemon sleep.
Right.
So it's cool. You can name them. So it's really, really cool.
Aw.
So
Anyways, pertaining to the game itself and the event, I wonder if it's going to be anything different than the research events that were happening for the legendary dog, gerbil, cat, whatever. They officially call them dogs, but there was an internet joke where everyone was arguing, dogs or cats? I say gerbils. The legendary trio from Gold, Silver, Crystal, that they were research events that had a lot of build up into them and such. I'd be curious if they're doing anything different this time around or not. I felt it was pretty free to play friendly before. I got a few Raikou and Entei.
Same. Yep.
When I did that.
Suicune here.
I had multiple opportunities for them.
Yep.
Even when I was getting like 6 hours of sleep. You
Yep.
should get more. 8 hours of sleep, please. It does a lot for your brain. But are they going to change that up or not? Be curious from an outside perspective.
Yep.
I will say this part was really fun to me because it's just like, is this app going to induce nightmares into people that you have to grind to get Cresselia to be able to sleep without nightmares again?
It does remind me. It already has. When they did their Halloween event, they did the what was that city in Pokemon? The Pokemon Tower.
Viridian? Oh, Lavender.
not
Lavender. They did a
Viridian.
remix of the Lavender Town theme, so it already has induced the nightmares.
I love the Halloween events
Yeah.
in that game in
They go
Pokemon
hard.
Sleep. It's been 2 years, and I look forward to it every time. I'm like, yes.
Which that would also be a cool thing to hear remix themes relating to Darkrai and Cresselia.
Yeah.
Whether it's areas or battle themes. Or
Yeah.
whatnot. They did that for the legendary dog trio
Yeah.
as well.
So
Yeah.
I like Pokemon Sleep.
Next up, Pokemon Unite. I don't think any of us here play it. Ravi, you mentioned playing it a little bit last year. Do you still play it here and there?
Yes, I do play Unite.
Ah.
I just haven't in a little while, but I will be getting back into it, and I'm probably going to have a lot of fun with Suicune. So for anyone who likes Pokemon Unite content, keep an eye on the channel. Another thing, though, with these new Pokemon, I was really hoping for one Pokemon in particular. I'm not sure if you guys could guess which one it is. That's right. I was hoping for Spinda, but maybe one day, one of these days. It's good to have a pipe dream. But yeah, Pokemon Unite. I'm definitely looking forward to a lot of the content that they have coming out here. So, but yeah, for you guys, like, what are your opinions on the game and so on and so forth?
I have none personally.
My outside I played it at launch. It wasn't, a League of Legends like, so I brought some of my knowledge of playing that during my college years, unfortunately. But I played it. I don't know. Sometimes I just look at it of like the free-to-play perspective and the metagame perspective, and I don't know what kind of character Suicune is. If it's filling a niche, if it's like making itself better than something already there, the overall balance, and that can always change too.
This is the one where Suicune's got the cool outfit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just saying, I don't play the game, but those outfits, I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, what is that?
And then
I love
also
outfits.
announced for this year were Alolan Raichu and Alchemy. And again, I don't know if they're filling in any niches themselves, but
So
yeah,
I'm
go on.
feeling that for some of those, I feel like Alcremie might be a support Pokemon, if anything.
yeah,
makes
akin to like the games, yes.
Yeah. And then for Alolan Raichu, that one's a little bit harder to pin. It could either end up being an all-arounder or maybe a speedster.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking for that one. For Suicune, I feel like that one might be an all-arounder, though. Or an attacker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm seeing a couple more comments from Patchlock. First hearing a discussion of sleep gameplay, never bad an idea, but the combo is both intriguing and confusing.
Going back to sleep for a
Yeah,
moment.
it's fine. you can pick it up, try it. It's free to play, so very free to play friendly. You can try it for a couple weeks. If you decide never mind, then you just don't. That's fine.
Yep.
And then Tempted to Unite, heard about a certain Armor Rouge. Yeah, Armor Rouge I saw was added.
Oh yeah.
The big thing for me on Unite is that they continue to add new game modes. I played League for my 4 years of college and a little bit after, unfortunately. But they didn't really add many new game modes. It would be like a 5v5, and then they experimented with like a 3v3 map, and that kind of got retired. And then they had a few different game modes. I think they've gone and added more since then. But for the few years that Unite has been out, seeing that they're continuing to add new games modes kind of keeps it interesting to go in, because it's not just you walk in, oh yeah, these are the top defining picks on your team, and if you pick these Pokemon, you're trash and you should be booted, and then getting profanities hurled at you both in-game and online on other social media.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with the addition of the first to 500 mode. That's actually really cool. Now, like the way I play Unite, you'd kind of think there was only one mode, because I only play ranked for the most part.
Yeah.
But them having that in there is really, really nice. And to be honest, I do play some of the other modes that pop up every now and then, and they're really enjoyable. Like, they are definitely a good time, and it does help things stay fresh and nice throughout just playing the game overall. It's been out for, I think, 4 years now, so.
Something like that, yeah.
It's been a while. So they're doing a good job, I believe.
That's good.
So, Raven, real quick, I caught the line that Remote Stadium was being added, so I'm assuming this is a level they took out of the game and put back in. Was there like an issue? Was it like, oh, this level's broken, or like it makes some Pokemon overpowered?
So what happened with that is, like, for ranked mode, they use different maps. So they use a different map in particular. For the casual mode, that's when they have a Remote Stadium.
Gotcha.
So instead, they're just kind of shaking things up a little bit so that the ranked players can have that stadium there as well.
Oh, neat. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, don't play it, so the three of us can't add too much to that. The Pokemon get costumes. I saw this update had 4 costumes in the overall data mine, and
Pretty.
yeah, they're usually all paid. So, next up was the trading card game Pocket. I know Emily and I both play. Raven, do you play it? Because Tommy does not.
I have not played Pocket yet. I remember from the last Pokemon Presents we went over, I was super hyped to play it. I have it on my phone, but it has not been opened yet. Just because of life, priorities, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks appealing, for sure.
Mm-hmm. We could, if we remember, we can add friend codes in later, Patchlock. I play it pretty frequently. It's like, daily thing. It's like a little dopamine hit when you hear that little sound effect go off, like the notification that you got a pack ready to pull. And they added a Arceus-based set, which it is really Arceus-based because several of the Pokemon in that set have abilities that tie into you having an Arceus EX in play. Whether it's some Pokemon do more damage, require less energy to use an attack, retreat for less or free, various effects that you can build a deck around Arceus EX.
See, I just do the pretty art. I just want the pretty art.
Since last year it came out, I can talk a little bit about the gameplay itself. It's a pared down version of the main trading card game, for better or for worse. Makes it really accessible for players because it's only been out, 4 months or so.
Really?
And
Yeah, it's not that long.
When you can pull 2 packs today, you can end up with a decent array of cards. And with the resource gathering, they start you off pretty well, and it's not too crazy to build a deck.
They give you trial decks too, like crazy.
Yeah, they're limited use, like 10 battles with them.
Okay.
But it gets you an idea, maybe to build some decks, and then you can go online and easily find what other people are building, what decks are working out, so that way you know where you can pull. Seeing Patchlock saying, or Regulus Arceus, I've seen builds with copies of each. Okay, I didn't remember. I haven't looked too much at the cards in particular. I did a skim through before going live here of like, oh, maybe these could work. But overall, the gameplay when the new sets have been coming out, I don't know what their long-term format is going to be, but the official TCG for like VGC tier is like the last 2 years of cards. We don't know when the cutoff is going to be of like the older cards starting to roll away from being able to be used in like your main play. So that's been pretty good that they've been adding new ones. And it's like, oh yeah, you spent all your money and time on like the initial Pikachu, Charizard, and Mewtwo sets. That they're worthless now. It's been 4 months. You should be pulling from the arcade. No, it's not that bad. So they've been slowly building it out. I'd like to see it in the longer term, but and then if you're a new player looking for advice, my unprofessional advice on the game, they give you enough resources. The easiest to build from, like, set of like, oh, where should I focus my resources, could be, I personally like the idea of pulling the Mysterious Island, I think. It's got Mew on the front.
Mew.
Pull that one, and you can build a good grass-type deck. You can easily find more information
My
about
sister
that.
plays that constantly.
Yeah,
that deck.
It comes down to a little bit of luck for coin flips, but it tends to be a pretty easy deck to build from, and then you can kind of figure out what kind of deck you like, what makes the happy brain chemicals happen. Do you like the coin flips, or do you like the certainty, oh, I need to pull this, get my cards out, and then I blow them away,
Yeah.
And again, if you just want to play the game just to get the pretty art cards like me,
Yeah.
you don't have to pay money in order to do it. Again, it's 2 free packs a day.
Yeah.
But going back on like sounds, it's like some of the sounds remind me when you're at a casino. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, this is tripping the trigger on the gambling.
I was gonna say, like Sean mentioned, the dopamine hit of like opening the pack, and you can tell they know because like the first 10 seconds of the Pokemon Pocket trading card game, the phone app, whatever it's called, the first 5-10 seconds was just that sound over and over again. They know this gets you hooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at a convention a few weeks ago, and my phone dinged for it, and the people around me was like, that reminds me, I got to check mine. So it's there. It's doing that little dopamine hit.
I'm going to open up the
that
next pack
Pavlovian
after this.
reaction.
Yep.
And then also, they are adding ranked matches. They haven't had any ranked matches yet. They've had events where you want to get so many wins within a period of time, and to where you can get different emblems and some rewards. None of the progression rewards.
All right.
All right.
Let's cut.
Yep. We are.
Should we call 911?
When we trained in CPR, I am not.
I am, but it's been forever.
Call.
out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your, out, step out, step out, step out, out of your mind. Step up, step up, step out of your mind. Step out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your, out, step out, step out, step out, out of your mind. Step, step up, step up, step out of your mind. Step out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your, out, step out, step out, step out, out of your mind. Step up, step up, step out of your mind. out of your mind. Out- Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your, out, step out, step out, step out, out of your mind. Step, step up, step up, step up, step out of your mind. Step out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your, out, step out, step out, step out, out of your mind. Step, step up, step up, step up, step out of your mind. Step out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your out, step out, step out, step out, out of your mind. Step up, step up, step out of your mind. Step out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your mind. Step up, step up, step out of your mind.
hello everybody. So we had a medical issue happened just now on the set, and so we had to get that resolved and everything. And I appreciate all you guys for, still sticking around to be here and watch the show go on. So I thank you so much for that. And if we could get like some like a nice shout out for our buddy Ben, who unfortunately he had kind of passed out a little bit, so he's feeling a lot better now. So that's why I feel comfortable, at least saying it. But let's get some respect for Ben in the chat, because he was running camera and he is freaking amazing, and he was absolutely killing it. And I'm flustered right now, so pardon me, guys. But yeah, we're gonna keep things going, we'll keep things moving, and I'm gonna pass it off back to our folks on set. So let's get right back into it.
All right.
All right.
So
Where did we leave off?
we left off talking about Pokemon Legends Arceus. Well, not like the TCG Pocket set with the Arceus EX thing. I don't think we have any more to say, but long and short of it is new set is out. If you're interested, my unprofessional advice, you can probably find better advice online. There's plenty of write-ups that happen of which packs to pull. I would say pull the Mew pack just to get a good starter deck outside of what they give you. But I don't think we have anything else on the TCG Pocket. It's been fun. It's been getting that little brain chemical. You find out what you like in that kind of game and build a deck around it.
I don't like your binder, though.
Following that, we had the main TCG, so doing the 60 card decks versus, in real life versus a little 20 card virtual deck. That they announced that Megas are coming back to the TCG because they were back in they were in there versus X and Y, but they were played differently than they are now. I don't know enough on the main TCG to know what'll be different now versus then. I mean, if you knock out a Mega Pokemon, you get 3 prize cards instead of 2 on a regular EX or 1 for knocking out a non-EX, non-Mega. So I don't know if that's different than before. Just looks like a standard evolution card. There may be more rules that'll be announced, but I don't play the main TCG much to know. So
I am so unfamiliar with both the TCG and the Pokemon card game phone app that I thought this was a further announcement for the Pokemon phone game until speaking to you two earlier today.
Gotcha. Yeah. I see Raven has the clip from that the Mega Evolution's coming this year. What my bystander perspective is on it is maybe one day I'd like to see the unification across the TCG, because as it stands right now, the Western releases tend to be a few months behind the Japanese release, which over on the video game side, they unified back with X and Y, where they come out same day. And when it's a big competitive scene, I'd like to see it, but I don't have any skin in the game. My opinion doesn't matter.
That's about it, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. Let me see.
Oh my gosh, you have so many notes.
Yeah, I'm gonna put what happened between the champions and then ZA. What they announced between those two first, because it's a much smaller, quicker bit compared to the chunkier content. The Latin American Spanish announcement for across the Pokemon video game and card game media. That it's going to be happening first with Pokemon Champions, but going forward, they're going to have Latin American Spanish in the trading card game and the main, the other releases. So that's been cool. I know that, growing up on Dragon Ball Z, I know there's a huge fan base in Mexico for like Dragon Ball Z, and I imagine other bigger anime media and video games as well. So seeing that coming out for those players is good. More accessibility is a great thing.
Yeah.
I think Raven had a little bit, he mentioned he was going to want to say about that. Or he's spinning a lot of plates, so I think we're okay.
Well, real quick, it was, what were you mentioning just now? I kind of had to.
Yeah, sorry. The Latin American Spanish for across Pokemon media of like the trading card game, the Pokemon Champions, and then ZA going forward, they're going to be getting a Latin American Spanish direct, translation.
That's right. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy about that. It was nice to see that there's more accessibility for more people across the world. And I just have a deep respect for the Pokemon Company for doing something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that they did that. I also like that they felt that it was a big enough announcement that, hey, like it shows that it matters. It shows that, they recognize that accessibility and availability, making your games available to more people, is inherently good. And I like that.
Though, from what I saw online, we still want people still want Portuguese, and more specifically Brazilian Portuguese, to be added to that. So, Game Freak, for anyone you find your way to this little corner of YouTube and sees us, do it for them. Obviously, we may not have any skin in that game either, but we'd love to have more players.
Yeah.
Now, yeah,
Any comments?
yeah, I'm seeing. Let's see, Safe Recovery ban, Power to You ban.
Yeah.
We're coming back to the original card game and trading card game split, and then if you're having any issues with the stream, try refreshing the live stream and see if that works. Let's see, Patchlock talking about champions. Yes, we are talking about that right now. Hang on. Oh wait, no. Before champions, small little update for Scarlet Violet. Rotom case, version dependent. Put in the code, you get an extra Rotom case. If you're into the collection of all
Red.
the cosmetics,
Or purple.
yeah. The Gen 9 Final Evolution are getting mighty Terra Raid battles.
I like the titles. I like
So
the marks.
if you're a collector of that, that's happening too.
I wish the raids ever worked well.
Yeah.
I wish they were functional.
And then another raid event seems to be more leaning into the Year of the Dragon. So the pseudo legendary dragons that are not dragons, but it looks like the big, these are the slow leveling curve, base stat 600-ish, ones are going to be happening throughout the year. It seems to tie into the Year of the Dragon.
Isn't
happening.
it, wait, it's the Year of the Snake.
Oh, Year of the Snake. Never mind.
It's Snake.
I was wrong. Snake.
It's Snake. I'm like,
I
what do you
thought-
mean
so-
dragon?
I guess not. I thought it was. Maybe it could be that. No, never mind.
No.
I'm back.
Snake.
No.
Snake.
We had an
um,
Arbok event, and we had. Oh, it was
Yeah.
so good.
So they're doing a big the pseudo legend
Serpentine.
Terra Raid event happening. So going through all that. Little bit on there. We're going to talk about the Terra leaks. The person that was supplying those leaks kind of commented they weren't sharing any info about Scarlet and Violet because they weren't done. Question mark? Don't know what that means. Mysterious internet people, right?
Yep.
Could be anything, could be nothing, could be both.
I don't want
Yeah.
leaks.
Yeah, but
You also have a Pyroar on your dress. That's
Do
another
I?
Gen 6 Pokemon.
We've been debating what Gen this is up to. It's 6.
Yeah.
Mostly it looks like 5, but it's 6. Go. Anyway.
all right, now Pokemon Champions. That was the first big video game announcement that we hadn't had. Prior to now, we had heard about a Project Synapse, and there was some confusion about what kind of project this is. This seems to be a core video game turn-based battler. The raw crunchy number stats and everything about that. A common spot is shown off with a trailer going through all the generations and how they may have been played against each other on TV. Funny little detail for any Ore fans out there, they did Gen 3 and it only showed the Game Link cable for four-player battles. And nothing on the TV for a 3D way to battle each other. Don't worry about that. So any Ore hopes out there might have been dashed. There's a continual hope of a remake of those, a remaster.
Or maybe that's
Not
why
right
they
now.
didn't show.
Unless they didn't put it in there for a reason.
Exactly.
No, anyway, it doesn't seem to be the way Game Freak talks about it, or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
You okay?
The speculation is that this could be the VGC battler, much akin to what the original Japanese Pokemon
there's
Stadium
gameplay.
was. It was the 3D way to battle in the championships against other people. You putting your Game Boy cartridge into the controller, the game pack for the N64 controller, and then you battled on a big screen against each other where a bunch of people watched. That's how it was originally handled, and it looks like this may be in that vein. So will it be VGC? Don't know yet, but it probably will be, being that it seems to be the higher fidelity. They're going to have the better look from the trailer. Things can change between now and release. It's going to be the way to, looks like they have the better battle animations. seeing slight delay here, but it was showing off some of the megas. My order here, the comments on the page itself, well, the fine print says that if you're playing it on the Switch, Nintendo Switch Online membership is required. Typically, that ties into a paid release. If a game is paid, you need to have a Nintendo Switch Online membership to play online against other people.
Yeah.
So that may kind of give a hint. How much would people be willing to play for just a battler versus, your little story, adventure, collecting kind of thing that the main games have?
Well, if I recall, they charged full price for Pokemon Battle Revolution back in the day, so I wouldn't be surprised.
That was so back then, though.
And especially with a mobile release, would people pay $60 twice to get it for their Switch and then their Android or iOS?
Yeah.
I would wonder if maybe their mobile app is like free but can only work with like a Pokemon Home subscription or with the Switch app. We have to see.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. Bring back Pokemon Coliseum. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
the.
Guys, I actually want to chime in really quick
You
because
have no idea.
with Champions, I'm looking forward to this one for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Primarily because of that Pokemon Battle Revolution vibe.
Yes.
Because I know you guys remember back in the day, well, back in our day, right?
Oh God.
We would have our little Gen 4 tournaments and so on, and we would all do it through Battle Revolution.
Yes.
And we'd be able to see it on screen. So, like, anyone who was spectating would have a good time, and of course, anyone who's battling is still having a good time as well. And I thought that was one of the most fun things about that game. And then also, the announcer. The announcer is
Yeah.
who made it. Like, I'm so serious. Just hearing, like, all the different things, like, ooh, super effective and all of that. It just added so much to it. And
It was such a solid game.
For Battle Revolution and for Stadium too, both ones. I don't remember Coliseum as much, but the announcer for the Stadium and Battle Revolutions, that's what I remember most about those games, besides our fun times. And it's funny to think because if you remember, we were in college, Gen 5 were out the whole time, and then Gen 6 came out like towards the tail end of our time in college, and yet we still were playing Gen 4 a lot because that was the one that had the big battle game.
And I
want
think it'll be cool.
real
'cause
quick, sorry.
Yes.
Just want to shout out Patchlock because he's like, I miss those days.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes,
no.
bro. Yes.
Same.
Good
If we
times,
can
man.
get those back.
And Danny's like, apply for the announcer job. I don't know. Maybe,
Miss those
we'll
days
see.
with you guys. I'm sorry I don't know your username, Patchlock, but you were definitely, if you were someone from our group, hey, how's it going?
Wait, they might tell us.
I don't want to.
But does-
probably not on chat.
But
Yeah.
Raven, real quick, do you remember? Okay, long story short, we're all sitting there with Pokemon Battle Revolution doing a tournament. Not everyone was fully paying attention, but I had a Raichu, and I taught that thing fly.
That's
and then,
right. I remember that.
and it was just walking up in the air, and everyone went, "What?" One of my best. That will never leave my brain. You remember that though, right?
I absolutely do.
Oh,
'Cause
I'm
I
so
remember
glad
that
you
same
do.
tournament. I think it was that same tournament. I had my surfing Raichu.
But yeah, I got that thing fly from the Poke Walker from.
Heart Gold,
Gold,
Soul
Soul
Silver.
Yeah, Heart Gold, Soul
Heart
Silver.
Soul Silver.
The
Yeah.
best one.
Now, on that note of Heart Gold, Soul Silver, there were Pokemon forums and such, and because Battle Revolution was released to be with Diamond and Pearl. We had more forms like Giratina, Shaman, and then all the Rotom forms added since then. And while there have been fan efforts that kind of locked it in back then. You couldn't do your 3D battle if you were using a Origin form Giratina.
Yeah.
And a game like this, the Champions, to kind of pull it back to this, is interesting that it could continually update. That this will be the core way of bringing your Pokemon in for the 3D battles. That way they can do their field battles like in Scarlet Violet, and they don't have to worry as much.
Now I'm interested. I wasn't interested before. Now I'm really interested.
Now, in the fine print as well, limited decks to start. Makes sense. That's
Yep.
with it being the core battler, if they're making this to be what VGC 2026 will be played in, that it'd be focused to the Pokemon that will be for that tournament style. So that could mean if there are any new Pokemon or forms added in Legends ZA and they want them to be VGC ready, that'd be their way of doing it instead of having to wait all the way until Generation 10 comes out and then getting far enough in the battle regulations for those Pokemon to be used. And then it allows Pokemon Home players, Pokemon Go players, to transfer their Pokemon into Pokemon Home and use them in the game as well. Because it'll copy them into it. Anything you do to them does not appear that it'll transfer back in to go back into your games. This is kind of more your, if you're really into the VGC scene, Pokemon Showdown, where you can customize your team as the way that you like and battle other people. Because while it is easier now to build competitive teams, it is not as easy as just dragging a few sliders, clicking a few buttons,
Yeah.
and you got your team right there and there to try it out. Instead of battle, oh, wait, no, I actually got the wrong stats on this one. I got to go back to the drawing board.
Did we get any more comments since?
Just the sushi eating contest from Stadium 1. I do not believe that the way that they market champions, they would be doing like the mini games that a lot of people
Yeah.
loved from from the Stadium games.
I will say, I did have one note here. Pokemon Champions is Pokemon RIP Showdown because now we finally have these two things. Like Nintendo hasn't really had something like this to kind of compete against that kind of simulator. But now that they do, are they going to have that interest in like, no, use ours?
Yeah. In my notes, I have Smogon RIP. It's your Pokemon Showdown at home because Pokemon Showdown, if you don't know, is the battler made primarily by Smogon, a big online competitive Pokemon discussion forum, where they have it for every generation. They rank the Pokemon based on usage and such, or ban certain Pokemon if they're too powerful into certain tiers. And what's interesting about that, it has all the generations, so you can even have like generation 1 with all of its bugs intact to battle other people. So like there isn't even if a move is a base 100% accuracy, it can still miss because of just how the numbers were calculated back then in the spaghetti code of the original Gen 1 games. And you can play it with that. And it would be on a interesting wish list, though I doubt they'll do it in Champions, that if they wanted to, they could put that old spaghetti goat version where you can do Gen 1 battling, where it's just the original 151 battle, with the moves in there, like the infinite wrap where your opponent can't do anything.
Or the combined special stat.
The combined special stat, the Hyper Beam recharge if you knock out an opponent. All the little quirks of Gen 1 could be there if they so wished, but that could be where Smogon can maintain its niche. The Pokemon Showdown can maintain its niche, but we'll see what Game Freak does.
Yeah.
All right.
In the longer term. And I will give a shout out for one of the more interesting content creators, Moxie Boosted. He's a competitive player. He does fun things with it, and I'm already like, I'm going to love seeing him play it through there when it's not limited to just what's in the game. Anything else? I have returning mechanics. So they already showed off Megas, which are coming in ZA, so that's probably leading into my VGC 2026 thing. Thinking, and we could probably see more old mechanics return in this form, where you could have terrestrialization battles, a Pokemon terrestrializing and another one using a Mega,
That's
another
so
one using a
cool.
Z move. The possibilities may be restricted based on what the regulation may offer, but it can all be in there. I'd like to see players being able to, change settings so that way I want to have anything goes. It means anything goes.
Although, interestingly, I do wonder, because technically by the time this game comes out, Megas won't be a past mechanic. They'll be a part of Legends
Yes.
ZA. So, are they going to bring back old stuff? Will we also have Z moves? Will we also have Gigantamax, Dynamax? I didn't notice any of that when I rewatched the Presents.
I think that's just too
video.
much.
Not in the trailer, but it leaves the room that they could
They definitely could.
in future updates, depending on how much they want to bring back the appeal. Because if it's if you're a fan of the Sun and Moon era, if you hear an ad, we got the Z moves back, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
It can appeal to different people at different times. This is made by Pokemon Works, which, if you haven't heard that is Game Freak working with Ilka, the company, the group who did the studio that did make the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl remakes, but this is Game Freak still working with them. It didn't sour that relationship
Yeah.
overall.
That's good.
Unless there's anything else for champions. No? Okay. Now for the main meat and potatoes of what everyone would have been here for.
Yep.
Pokemon Legends ZA. Where to begin?
Huzzah.
Totodile.
Totodile.
Where to begin? But the
Starters.
first partner Pokemon is the official terminology of Chikorita, Totodile, and Tepig.
I've been waiting for this guy.
Now, in Legends Arceus, each one of them had a new evolution. But Legends Arceus took place hundreds of years prior to the main games.
Yep.
So these Pokemon could have been forms then and long extinct. We're talking about a game that is relatively around the same time era that we had X and Y. You know, some characters may appear older, like AZ running an inn.
Yeah.
He could be older, but he lived, thousands of years. Hey, let's get a war criminal running a hotel now.
And we kind of have thoughts about that, like, because he was the only character we saw from the from X and Y. Is that correct?
I think
Yes.
so. Yeah.
I mean, if he lived 3,000 years, he ages slower than normal. It might actually be longer in the future than we think, because he could be, if he aged say 10 years normal time, how long is that for him?
Yeah. I think they didn't show any other characters for that reason.
Yeah.
Any other returning characters. But I feel like Legends Arceus had a lot of characters like, I know that character.
Yeah, yeah.
This one's ancestor or
ancestor,
whatever. Yeah. That this may give away because it takes place in Lumio City. The gym leader, I don't remember his name, but he was a younger electric type gym leader. Showing him may really give away how far set it is. I said 10 years earlier because it's been 12 years since we got X and Y. So with how they like to do some of the games, it could be 10 years after the events of X and Y. We don't know. We'll find out later this year, I'm sure. Let's see. I think simply will be give me my regional, or I'm thinking this will simply be a mega of their stage 2 forms.
It's got to be megas.
Yeah.
Come on.
yeah.
They got to give them megas. And I know there's these leaks, and I don't want to talk about it. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
There
Or
wasn't anything
fakes.
pertaining to, in terms of the Terra League, they did not say anything within the games themselves, new Pokemon or anything like that. They were wanting to be above board. The overall details, we didn't know the starters from it.
got you.
This person had access to the builds. I'll get to why I said molten plural of this game, but they didn't say anything beyond it. It's an earlier in development build. So, on the note of new Evos or Megas, keen-eyed viewers notice that Chikorita being used. First off, Chikorita useful? No.
Alone. I love Chikorita.
Just in a bad setup with the Gen 2,
Magnate.
defensive one and a
Actually,
experience.
Sean,
Yes.
that comment there, I have to say something to that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, ha!
Yeah.
'Cause you're right.
Yeah. Especially if my view of Chikorita might have been jaded by content creators like Imported Cheese.
Another shout out.
But Chikorita had disarming voice. Chikorita can't learn that move yet. So that may or may not be a hint of what, what Meganium does, if it just gets that as part of a fairy moveset, where we get a grass fairy, or is it mega grass fairy? Because if we're talking about a game that maybe takes place in the relative near-term future, how much room is there to say new, within this region that we've already explored, new regional evolution? How much room is there story-wise? They could come up with one, it'd be fine, but I'd be curious what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Mega Stones can be like oh, look at the shiny rock I found. You want it? Oh, you get it, boom, it ends up being a mega,
So I got to chime in again.
Yeah.
Patchlock is like, you're both wrong for that.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
I realistically, I can be like, okay, Meganium, it's chill, it's cool.
Meganium.
Not something I would choose to use, to be very honest, but it's an alright Pokemon.
Yeah.
Chikorita and all them, they're alright.
Meganium gets a bad rap. Meganium is Gen 2's Charmander, where like, okay, first gym was flying, that was a bit rough. Hopefully the next gym is the type I can work. Oh no, this is a bug gym.
Yeah.
Except, sorry, Meganium, to the average person, Charizard's way cooler. So
Yeah.
you don't get that boost to your clout like Charmander does.
And then when you talk a defensively coded Pokemon, it's overall with it's fine. It's fine.
Let's keep moving.
Yeah. Some other keen-eyed viewers the initial theory is the art style for the protagonist this time around looks akin to the Heart Gold Soul Silver protagonist.
Ooh.
Don't know if that pertains to anything. Could be online speculation. Just putting it out there to say we said it. Otherwise, we saw that full traversals there. We saw jumping between rooftops and such.
Yeah.
I do got to point something out on Traversal. There's a part, it's like when they first show it where like someone goes up to a wall and clearly in a normal game they'd climb the wall and instead they just walk into a glowing square and it just teleports them.
More teleporting squares.
And it just kind of reminds me like sometimes Game Freak just chooses not to animate things.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but say that to me as like, oh, you just really didn't want to animate someone climbing up something.
I hope we can
Yeah.
sit on the fancy furniture that they showed. I'm like, I better be able to sit on that couch.
Let's see. On my point about the evolutions, maybe we'll get regional final stages for the starters. That'll have exclusive megas.
Yeah.
That
Could
neat.
be. I am curious how Game Freak's going to handle it for a region we have already been in for introducing a new form. Versus, megas are pretty easy to be like, we found this rock.
Yeah.
Or you went to this exact spot of the map at this exact time for this 10-minute window, and you got the rock that'll make it mega. They wouldn't do that for the starters, but like they would do that for maybe a new mega.
I mean, in fairness though, I actually already kind of see a way they could do it, which is like if you remember Weird Air, Stantler evolved into that by using, I think it was like a move had to be used
Certain
in
amount.
strong.
Yeah.
It had to be a certain amount of times, but also in like the strong
Yeah.
form, which
Yeah.
doesn't exist in base game, and that's kind of why Stantler can't evolve in base game. So all they really need to do is come up with a mechanic that is exclusive to this game, and they could explain any
Yeah.
regional form where they wanted to.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, sure.
But also Mega Meganium. I want that for that reason alone. That's a
Yeah.
funny name.
Mega McCain.
Magayon Mega.
Yeah.
Unless they split Evo because in this region or whatever, like how we had like regionals split Evo kind of thing. Who knows? They can always change up how they do it. We had a lot more traversal. It's more of an action RPG, which to a lot of players who may have only gamers that have only played Pokemon was going to be a big deal, a change of gameplay style. It was a lot for players like Emily to go to like Legends Arceus.
Yeah. It took a long time. It took a long time for me to figure it out.
Yeah.
Very long time. Was it worth it? Yeah, but it was intimidating. Very intimidating.
Now, from my gaming perspective, that's going to be pretty cool because it may allow players like this to branch out. It's like, hey, I really enjoyed this gameplay style. Can I get more to scratch that itch? I thought this was pretty fun of a gameplay. The gameplay initially kind of reminds me more Xenoblade Chronicles 2, maybe. We'll have to see when it's in our hands and how it actually looks playing wise. But pretty cool that they're trying out different gameplay methods. Doing the action RPG where your positioning on the field matters, your timing of moves matter more.
Because moves have like radiuses, right? Like
Yeah.
radius
Yeah.
effect.
Yep, swapping out your
Pretty
Pokemon at key times was also in some of the marketing.
The
So-
timing of the mega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mega timing, that it won't persist for the entire battle. It'll have a set amount of time that it can be out. So we will have to see later this year. Obviously, it's an in development build, and by this point, they should be locking it in. Let's see, I have that. Now, another thing that was speculated about last year that we seem to be getting more confirmation on this year is that it's only within Lumiose City, rather than thinking you'll be going and seeing your old favorite routes, or thanks to the Terra leaks, Southern Kalos.
I'm hoping expansions. Maybe expansions will do it.
Right,
But-
updates.
Yeah.
Or they might surprise us with things. Maybe we'll finally go to that power plant.
And you know what? Like, I definitely like the fact that we are going to have, just primarily, or how do I phrase this? I'm really happy that we're primarily going to be in Lumios because from a game development standpoint, from my perspective, it seems like that would be the best way to give us as the players the most fleshed out content.
Yes.
Because they're not going to have to be stretching themselves to go like, oh, we have to also make this region cool and this other region cool in this particular area. It's just, no, all within Lumios, and they can make everything a bit more, like I said, just a bit more fleshed out. And I do
more, like,
like
detailed.
that as a thing.
The quote I always heard, quote I've heard that comes to mind with your discussion, be like, a lot of games go as wide as an ocean, as deep as a puddle. That by narrowing it down, it can end up getting a lot more depth, a lot more nooks and crannies to find stuff around and do stuff in that they can have to play with.
Wide as a lake, deep as a lake.
Yeah.
Any comments?
Let me see. Patchlock continuing to interact.
Thank you again.
This is like attack queue times, remind Digimon's action speed lineups. You might have to think 3 moves ahead for each action. Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
We'll have to see when we get, it in our hands later this year, especially at events that Game Freak may do, and Pokemon Company may do for people to get their hands more on it, especially, preferred gaming news outlets. They'll probably get hands-on builds.
Yep.
How restricted or not, especially with Pokemon, because when it comes to that, people want to sleuth in every corner to find any new thing to talk about first. So far, thanks to between last year's and this year's announcements, we, in regards to the Pokedex for the game, we would have 126 confirmed Pokemon. And for Legends, to put it in perspective, for Legends Arceus,
I
I
want
have
to
my notes
say
from last year,
that was about
242.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
242 in Legends Arceus. Now, I didn't do all my research this year for which megas were announced, which ones weren't. Now, we didn't have Xerneas and Veltal announced, shown in this
yeah,
trailer.
I didn't even think about that.
They may appear if this may be like our revisit of Kalos in Generation 6. They may appear. I'm sure a lot, if not all, of the Gen 6 new Pokemon will be in there in some way, shape, or form. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep it akin to about the mid 200s like Legends Arceus had.
That would be nice.
I almost hope that Xerneas and Virtual don't show up. I definitely hope they have a reduced impact on the story. Almost just kind of like how legendaries are, towards the end games of Pokemon games. We're like, oh yeah, here's their house, catch them, never speak of them again. Just because, nothing against them, but Zygarde needs his time.
You're
He is a
right.
neglected
You're
legendary
right.
of Gen 6. Legend ZA, this game, especially with seeing him in dog form, this is clearly his game.
Yeah.
I want
his
him
time.
to get as much of his moment in the sun
Yeah,
as possible.
I'm sure they'll play in. They may even play in for what story there is, what the story ends up being. We saw, I didn't note down the name of the group that's involved that you'll be working with for the redevelopment project. But
Do you think we'll have a Team Rocket again? No, Team
Yeah,
Flare?
I think it's a Quasartico.
yeah, Quasartico.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Quasar. Yep.
Yeah, that icon almost reminds me of other villainous groups, but we could get deceived that there ends up being an actual thing. Remnants of Team Flare. Which
I hate
ending
that
for Lysandre do they pick? Do they go to the one where he died, or do they go to the one where he lives forever but he's trapped under rubble?
I mean, there's no difference for the greater world, so they could leave it ambiguous too.
Yep. New Power clip looked great. Yeah. But it's not. We're not giving them guns and making them work the mines to gather resources for us.
That made me so uncomfortable. That whole the cruel edginess of it. Just all right, this is not for me.
That's a whole other discussion.
Now, for the battling of it, abilities. One group is trying to say, oh, because they don't list the abilities with the Pokemon, abilities aren't in the game. In Legends Arceus, they didn't have abilities, but they did give bonuses to some Pokemon akin to their abilities. Even still hitting Regigigas says that with that hammer. But you also had Karam with
Yeah.
the it had effectively had its ability in the game. And I thought I saw a photo someone shared of one of the Mega Charizards that was using Drought. So they may be in there, but maybe in a limited capacity, akin to like the ones that make the Pokemon, make or break the Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
Could be a Mega thing only.
yeah,
We'll, don't know until we have it.
yeah, but we'll see. We will see, because like some Mega Pokemon, like in the footage, figuring it's a few seconds behind, some Mega Pokemon are made by their ability. Kangaskhan, if how big of a VGC
Yeah.
pick it was, Mega Kangaskhan with its parental bond, it's gotta be there. It's the main flavor of it. So it might be in the limited form like Legends Arceus had, where if this ability is a big part of the Pokemon's form factor. And then be ready for flipping your Switch upside down for evolving Inkay into Malamar. Now, at the end of it, we were teased with promotion matches. That's probably my first thought. This is our progression mechanic equivalent to like the gyms that we had, mainline games.
Or like ranking up in stars in Arceus.
Yeah, some sort of progression where you're going further in
I
the
like
story
that.
and unlocking more things.
One kind of interesting thing I noticed is they talked about like how, like, because obviously it's a city, how do you have wild Pokemon running around in the city? And their kind of explanation is that we have these wild areas, it's parts of Luminia's that we're setting aside for Pokemon. And one thing I kind of noticed is, despite the fact that you call these wild areas, like there's one clip they showed where there's just a truck in a wild area. There's one where it looks like there's a whole like restaurant, cafe, outdoor seating arrangement. So it makes me wonder, like, is a wild area just an area where wild Pokemon roam and it's kind of no big deal? Or is it like, because when I first started, I'm imagining, okay, like humans are leaving parts of the city, like we're going to like tear down all of our stuff. It's going to be just like this like patch of wilderness inside the city. But that doesn't look like it's going to be the case, or maybe it's like a more recent thing, like that restaurant closed down for this wild area.
That's
I
what
wonder
I'm
what they're going to do
thinking.
with that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. We're seeing some more of the clips again from Raven. Thank you. So, yeah, it's one of those we'll have to see. It's
So
been
much left to see.
it's been a constant thing in Pokemon of like Pokemon living with people, or the other way, people living with Pokemon and how they interact. Like in Legends Arceus, it was like the first big thing of catching Pokemon
Yeah.
and such, and having them as allies and all that. That seemed to be kind of the new thing in that point. That what is it now? What are we trying now? Don't get with that Gardevoir. Officially in game, and then especially with the Terra Leaks, all the other Pokemon. Anyways, the timing of it. Last year we thought maybe it would have been a late winter, early spring release of this year. Now we're looking at late this year.
Most likely November 18th. Like a lot of games seem to be released on November 18th, but we'll
It's
see.
a very specific day. And
It just is. If you look,
Yeah,
a lot of stuff comes out on November 18th.
the timing is interesting because probably by that point we would have the Switch 2. So we'll get into how the Switch 2 wraps into all this later, but it's interesting that they're taking their time with it. It's been a big demand, especially because of from the quality of Sword and Shield. That people are like, take your time. You can take a little bit more time with these games, and I think this is the first one that they've been able to pump the brakes on a little bit.
Yeah.
That does make me kind of wonder if, like, maybe by the time that feedback came back from Sword and Shield, they really couldn't for Scarlet and Violet. So maybe this and other games might be impacted by that feedback, because Scarlet and Violet, I like Scarlet and Violet a lot more than Gen 8 personally,
Me too.
but purely technically wise, in terms of what works and what doesn't, and how stable, unstable, or crashing or glitching the games are, Scarlet and Violet really feel rushed. And purely
Uh-oh.
that kind of aesthetic
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. What is it?
Take a Battle Tower Resurrection. On a side note, Mega Evolutions are greater than Dynamaxing. Sports-like theme of the gyms would be great. I have been summoned. I saw my wife comment in there.
Hi, Jara.
Yep. But we'll see when that comes. I'm
There's a lot of we'll see. in
Yeah,
this.
I mean,
there
really
really
I mean,
is.
that's what the whole thing is.
The based on the Terra leaks, these were slated to come out. Legends EA was supposed to be in 2023. Yeah, that they had already delayed it before 24, and now we know it's coming out in 25.
That-
Later this year.
That
Like,
kind of
yeah.
sorry, that kind of makes sense. Going back to what I was saying before, maybe like Legends EA was in development, but unlike Scarlet and Violet, they was early enough that they could, like you said, pump the brakes and slow down development. Like that
Yeah.
gives me kind of hope that this might be a more polished game than we've gotten from Pokemon Company in a while.
So, is there anything else about the game itself before I talk about like what the Switch 2 may play into all this?
As a shiny hunter,
Yeah.
I want to know how shinies are gonna be because
Yes.
there was a what were they called in Legends Arceus?
The
Oh, the sound
sparkles?
effects.
Like
Yeah.
there was the sound effects, but also there were the I'm trying to think the when you would go into an area and there would be certain spawns that would I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
You could tell I haven't played in a hot minute. But this is
The alpha spawns?
not just the alpha spawns, but just like, oh, there's a bunch of Happini here. Oh, there's
the
a bunch
alpha-
of
Outbreaks.
Outbreaks.
Outbreaks. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm curious if they're going to bring this mechanic out, if we're going to hear sparkles. People want to hear sparkles again.
Yeah, there's a lot
People
of
want to hear sparkles again. I want a
Yeah.
shiny hunt.
I
so bad.
absolutely agree with that because just hearing that shiny sound when you go into a map, it's like, ooh,
Where
where
is
should
it?
I go?
Yeah.
It's
Where
like, it
is
just
it?
get me so excited.
Yeah.
I like to hear sounds for normal hearing. That works just fine.
But shiny hunting, man.
Yeah, hopefully they'll have fun methods of shiny hunting again. They tend to now that they've introduced some mechanic that makes it interesting to shiny hunt with.
Keep in mind, Gen 6 had so many methods to shiny hunting.
Yes.
I want to fish again. I want to fish again.
The
Chain
horde-
fishing.
The horde battling
The
was
hordes.
nice.
Ah.
Like we have already seen in some of the promotional images, the multi-battling like in Legends Arceus is back, where one against many others. So, well, it'll be interesting to see.
Can we die in this game? That's what I want to know. Can we die like we
can
did?
we have someone go around the corner and then,
It's a bit morbid.
yeah, then there's a Diggersby, sup, boom, instead of like the hyper beam from the
Will there be a serial killer subplot in
Yeah.
Legends EA? We'll see.
Well, we've already seen some locations, including Looker's office.
I forgot about him.
Yeah,
Back and play. Section Y.
He was in Sun and Moon, wasn't he? Was that the last time he showed up?
think so.
No, I think there was a character that looked sort of like him in Sun and Moon.
No,
the
there was
Ultra-
Looker
the Ultra Beast
subplot.
Was there what? I
Might have
forget.
been in,
It's been so long.
Yeah, might have been in Ultra. I don't. It's been a while,
Yeah, he's-
but he was in them.
He's your contact for this Ultra Beast. I remember he's one who gives you the
Yes.
beast balls.
Yeah, you're right.
So, in regards to the, let's find Az's Relicanth, please. We will get. We are going to encounter Az's Floette.
I want that Floette.
Floette has
Want it.
on the back end. Floette has been from that. As Floette has been in the programming since then. It has been in every game, including its unique move, which for a while could still be pulled by
Metronome?
like metronome.
That's really.
And then they deliberately removed that one from being called.
That's less
But
fun.
even after the move the move paring down, it's still in there. So
want it.
they've continually kept it in there. So how long have they intended of eventually releasing Az's Floette?
3,000 years.
It's been 12 years.
And will we?
Less dramatic.
Could we earn it in the game as like a special thing? Actually, on the special thing, mythicals. Any remaining mythicals. Since they're getting a bit friendlier about the mythicals and keeping them more available, could we see the X and Y mythicals, especially like Volcanion? And such?
I think we'll definitely see Diancie,
Yeah.
the Carbuncle mythical, just because doesn't it Mega Evolve? Isn't it the whole? Or
Yeah, it
it's something
does.
Yeah.
It's got to come
Yeah.
in.
So
So,
it's got to show up.
was there one more outside? Was there 2 or 3 that time? Because I know Volcanion and DNC. Was that it that time?
No, there's got to be more.
Those are the only 2 I remember, unfortunately.
Okay, might have only been the
Comment
2.
below if you remember.
I mean, Gen 6 had a smaller Pokedex.
Yeah.
It did. Some
Um,
good Pokedex.
So in regards to the Switch 2, I had thought the otherwise, but apparently in the Terra leaks there was a build for the Switch 2 of Pokemon Legends ZA.
And I'm just going to go ahead and call my shot now that everyone thinks is wrong, but if I'm right, it'll be amazing. This is a launch title for the Switch 2. Locking it in
Most
now.
likely.
If I'm wrong, no one will notice. If I'm
Yeah.
right, people will be like, hey, that guy called it.
Yeah. Well, plenty of people would have called it Ben online because they also say Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a launch title on
Well,
the
yeah.
Switch 2.
Any
But
day now.
I don't think, the release timing of that may depend on the availability of the Switch 2 and how Nintendo themselves handle backwards compatibility of the Switch 2. Because some games are built, including Pokemon, where they can run better if the hardware is running better in the back end. People who mod their Switches to overclock, they can get more stable frame rates in the Pokemon games. And if that's the case, it depends on how Nintendo handles the backwards compatibility of Switch 2, or will it run in like the pared down Switch mode so it won't take advantage of all the extra processing power that if you want to play a Switch 2 version, you would need to download that, and it depends on how friendly or not
Yeah.
Nintendo is with upgraded versions. If you buy Pokemon Legends ZA this holiday for your Switch and then turn around next spring, get the Switch 2, can you drop that in there and for free get the Switch
Yeah.
2 version? Or would you need to give Nintendo more money to do that?
Hopefully it'd be for free, because that kind of reminds me of, when Gold and Silver came out, you could technically play them on a non-color Game Boy.
Yeah.
They would that's why Shiny had the sparkle, so you would know if you were playing on that system that this Pokemon has something special to it, where you turn around, you take those same cartridges, Game Boy Color, you get colors, you get a better game. So hopefully it'd be like that, but of course that is a business example that's like 30 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't. Nintendo hasn't had their home consoles going, or any of their consoles in a backwards compatibility sense, run the games better on the more powerful one.
That's true.
So, we had the 3DS to new 3DS, but even Pokemon, I didn't notice run any better on the new 3DS like
No.
like it was running in a new 3DS with the new 3DS's power on the back end.
No.
So, we'll see. That's the Nintendo side of the discussion instead of
Yeah.
Game Freak,
Yeah.
and it can also come down to the developer if they release a patch for it or not. Also, in regards to the Switch 2, what the 30th anniversary of Pokemon may look like.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're gonna next year. Holy smokes.
Yeah, that'd be next year, doing the big 3-0. Based on the Terra leak, we know that, and I'm not going to say what region of the real world that the new region's going to be based on, but we know they've been talking about it, and plans have been made around this region, things that have happened already in regards to the anime and its progression with Rico and Loy, I think were the names. Those are the two main ones for Journeys. For what would happen within that, they've already nixed some plot ideas because they didn't want it overshadowing what happens in Generation 10 for where that takes place. So that is apparently known online for where it takes place, but it is also being built for these. Well, the internal development builds are for the Switch 1 and 2. What that means in the long run, we don't know. A lot of developers work with what they already know and then what's it look like on the new thing. Much like years ago, we had it leaked of a Pokemon Stars, which would have been the Sun and Moon third version releasing on the Switch. But that might have just been an internal development build where they can figure out how would this game run on this.
Yeah.
Whether or not we ended up not getting that, and we got instead of waiting all that time until Sword and Shield, we had the hold me over of Let's Go. So that that's part of it, but that'll be something to keep an eye out for. That decision was being based on the release window of the Switch 2 and availability, because if it became anything like the Xbox Series consoles and the PS5 for availability, it was tough to get a hold of for a year. But reports are that Nintendo had plans for this already, that they're going to have a large shipment, so that may help.
All right.
Let me see. I got a comment here. I'd love to get an anime hint about the upcoming gen. Remember Donphin in the Mewtwo
Yeah.
movie, Munchlax and Destiny Deoxys?
Yeah, that would be
Um,
awesome. I
Seem-
agree.
From what I understand, it seems like they've shied away from doing those kinds of teases. The teases happen when Game Freak announces it in a video format like a Pokemon Presents.
We could still hope.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. That would be a break from things that they've done in the modern era of Pokemon.
And unfortunately, the world's a different place. Like, I remember, like, I think, like, I didn't know there were going to be more Pokemon games until, like, my grandpa showed me a news article that had a giant picture of Hoodoo and said new Pokemon games were coming soon. And, like, you know, that was how things were back then. Whereas now, like, if they start storyboarding for, like, oh, the new Pichu evolution that goes off from Pikachu just to be in the background of an anime shot, that's going to be leaked, that's going to be dissected, and everyone's going to have their thoughts about it within a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Game
good
Freak
old
and
days.
Pokemon Company are very much shying away from that. That you find the new ones when they announce them, or you see them in game.
Well, they gotta stop it.
So, you know, because I remember back during like Gen 5 and 6, it was watching for translations of Japanese magazines because magazines need to make their way to store shelves.
Yeah.
What if someone in the middle opens that box, cracks it open, here's the page, scan it online, and then, you know, then it's found out before Game Freak would have intended for it to find out. So now those magazines aren't even like where the first time these information gets out
Yeah.
there, and it's delayed enough so that way it cannot leak before the official announcement. So,
Alrighty.
unless there's anything else for things, I think that covers everything that was within our within the Pokemon Presents.
Yeah. Raven,
So-
do you have anything?
Well, I would say that. Let me get my thoughts together first. You guys keep talking.
All right.
I'm sorry, you
Yeah,
have anything?
you go ahead.
I'm personally, I know we touched upon it briefly at the start of the stream, and then we said we were going to talk about it later, so now it's later. People were kind of hoping for Gen 10 news. I'm glad we didn't get any,
But
because
you're
I hope that means that, first off, I want Legends EA to be able to stand on its own. Like going back to Gen 5, you know, Black and White 2, I feel like those games kind of got kneecapped because that was the last game to have the split release date between America and Japan, whereas, wasn't like a month between Black and White 2 and X and Y coming out or something?
Being announced.
Oh,
And we were like
gotcha.
within a year of
Yeah.
Black 2, White 2 coming out because it swapped from being like a 6-month delay from Japan to getting it simultaneously. So like within a year of Black 2, White 2 coming, we had
Yeah.
we had the X and Y.
And so, you know, why get Black 2 and White 2 when you're going to get the new shiny Pokemon game for your new shiny 3DS? I like that they're like saying, no, this is your Pokemon game. You know, don't worry about whatever's coming next. Something is coming next, of course, because Pokemon is eternal. And going back to what we've said before, a lot of in terms of Sword and Shield and Gen 9, hopefully this means they're letting them take longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So-
you know, I'm reminded of, weren't there a lot of calls that we're getting too many Pokemon games
Yeah.
too soon when we had, you know, only a few months between the Diamond and Pearl remakes to Legends Arceus? Like, it had no room to breathe. You don't always need to be a next thing, next thing, next
Yeah.
thing. We got this thing coming. We don't need to worry about what's beyond it, beyond the fact that it's going to exist. You know, Pokemon's not dead tomorrow. You know, the game, like,
Yeah. So
the Switch era are the best-selling era of Pokemon games, and then, you know, the games overall, they haven't beat the original Red, Blue, Green, but they are getting close. You know, they beat out Gold, Silver, Crystal.
Breaks my
yeah,
heart.
and one other thing I want to make mention of in regards to that, right? When it comes to Pokemon getting released, right? Like I was so happy to know that for this one, for ZA, it's coming out late. Now, when they announced it last year, I was thinking, when they said 2025, I was thinking, no, they're gonna delay this one. They have to, because it only makes sense from the standpoint of just making sure you can get the proper team, or rather, you can get your team working on it properly, because you know they saw all the comments about Scarlet and Violet. You know
Oh,
that for
yeah.
a fact. So I'm pretty sure they took that to heart, and that's why they made that decision to go, all right, we're going to spend some time on this. And that's what's making me feel really, really optimistic about Gen 10. Because if they're willing to take the time on ZA, they're of course going to take the time on a game that's probably going to come out during the 30th anniversary.
Yep.
Right? So I'm very optimistic about it, like 100%.
This is the first time in a long time for Pokemon that it's been 4 years of a generation. Because normally it's been 3 years. It's been like the base game, the equivalent of like a Yellow or Crystal or Platinum, a remake, next generation. And then we were moving on that clip for a while, and we've had years where nothing came out, and like you look at the Generation 6 with X and Y, we had a gap year, but they've since then had something coming, or they had a gap year, but it was like where competitively they were adding in the you could use legendaries, but now we're at 4 years of Scarlet Violet, so that we could see playing out thanks to Pokemon Champions.
Yeah.
So,
Looking forward to 30 years.
yeah. Well, maybe we'll be back for the 30th anniversary. Talk about our thoughts then.
Yeah.
Probably even thoughts of Legends ZA, since that'll
wanna-
probably be in our hands
I
by
would
that
love
point.
to go back and see if any of our predictions were true.
Yeah.
Or
Because
like,
we didn't even talk about new regional forms, new evolutions,
Yep.
new megas, what kind of speculation.
better get a mega, I swear.
So,
Okay.
so we haven't had any new comments, but otherwise-
Raven, do you have anything?
yeah.
Well, I was thinking, I don't think I didn't really get to chime in on this one, but for the starters for ZA, like, which ones are you guys gonna go for? Because I know for a fact, yeah, I'm doing Totodile, like 100%, like Totodile for sure. Because when I was playing Gen 2 back in the day, I was really torn. I was like, do I want Totodile or do I want Cyndaquil?
They're all
And I went Cyndaquil, and it's one of my favorite starters. But now that I get a second chance, yeah, Totodile for sure. What about you guys?
I'll go first. I don't know yet. I might, because the Legends games allow you to, you'll be able to get the other ones later, because their development cycles, development ideology for it keeps it within one. But maybe I'll give Chikorita a new chance.
Yeah, give her a chance.
Maybe I hate myself and I just want a harder experience.
Gotta show you're a real gamer. So Gen 3 introduced a new concept for me, which is not picking the water starter. I was a Squirtle boy, I was a Totodile boy, and I am still a Totodile boy 30 years later.
Yeah. Poor Tepig.
Yeah.
Poor Tepig. So
Yeah.
much bashing on the Tepig, which really makes me sad.
Yeah.
It's the firefighting
But we
curse.
had, again, Cyndaquil in RCS. So,
I'll say it's funny that it's 2 Gen 2 starters. Like I thought it'd
yeah,
be like,
that's interesting.
like I thought it'd be like Arceus was, where it's a 1 starter per gen, but they didn't. They're just like, no, we need to give Totodile and Chikorita something. They're hurting.
We'll
Alright.
see what they mean competitively.
We'll see what happens.
Chompy Croco boy all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. He bite.
You
Bite.
bite.
No.
Yep, Totodile and Fuecoco.
So
They bite.
They bite.
Chomp chomps.
Chomp chomps. That's what I should name it. Chomp chomps.
Chomp chomps.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
until you throw him in the candy grinder because he got a better stat value later.
Stop it. No, my starter will always stay. All right.
Is that it? Do we need anything else here, Raven? Or
All right, so I think that's gonna bring us to the end of things. Let me just really quick check the chat. So we got Patchlock saying Tepig is my favorite Gen starter,
Aww.
and
I like the love for Tepig.
there are appreciators of
Yeah.
the mighty fire pig.
what they do for Chikorita? Yes.
And
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
interested
so,
overall for the game. It keeps things a little fresh instead of, all right, here you are playing a 10-year-old. You pick your starter. Go beat these 8 gyms, and go, beat the baddies, whether how evil they are or not, and then catch the next step away from God, and and beat the Elite Four. Congratulations. So it's fun to see some changes.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
yeah.
All right.
All right, so I want to say thank you so much, guys, for being here on the stream tonight, and it was awesome having you guys come back again
Yeah.
to talk Pokemon. It was so dang nice. And any final words? We got a Totodile on screen right now. There's just a
Yay,
Totodile
the
just
boy.
chilling out there.
Yeah.
Does Totodile have anything to say? I want to know. I'm curious. All right, bite. That's all it needs to
bite.
say.
Yeah.
All right, but with that said, again, thank you so much, guys, for being
Thank
here.
you.
Final thoughts, comments,
Please bring us
anything,
back.
nothing at all, or
Hoping Ben's all okay. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, hope you're doing well. Wish you well recovery if there's a recovery, or hope this never happens to you again if it was just a freak accident.
All right.
and
Lost
yeah,
the game.
absolutely. I definitely hope Ben is feeling a lot better after what happened today.
Yeah.
So yeah, he again, dude's a trooper. Like he even like he apologized to me for what happened. I'm like, no, man, don't even. Like the dude's too kind of a soul. But again, to everyone who came through for the stream, it's been a long time, and I know some people have been asking, like, where are the streams? Well, we're back. So keep an eye out for some more live streams here on Rhinos and Gaming, and also keep an eye out for new content coming to the channel, because we've got a lot of things coming out when it comes to Nintendo. Of course, Nintendo Switch 2 coming out. We've got Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition happening, and a few other games that, I might just make some content about. So keep your eyes on the channel. And of course, if you did enjoy yourself for this particular stream, feel free to give it a like. And of course, subscribe for more awesome gaming content here on Rhinos Inc. Gaming. Well, I gotta do the thing. Let's see if I even remember this outro. Goodness gracious. I might have to practice it another time. But I think I'm DJ Raviesta. That's gonna be it for me. We also had Emily, Sean, and Tommy. And I will catch you guys later. Genuinely, I did forget the outro. I am so sorry, guys.
Something about the Rhinos are watching.
And yes, indeed, the Rhinos are watching. Everyone, you better remember it. All right, you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. Take care.
step out of your mind.